You're watching S&V Outdoors. Discover the world around you.
Alright guys, hello and welcome to another video. My name's Mitch here on S&B Outdoors. We're going to be taking a look at beginning fishing. So those of you that are just getting started fishing, which fishing is one of the great outdoor things that you can do. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have hunter safety or anything like that. For youngsters, check your state. A lot of times youngsters don't have to have any kind of licensing or anything like that. My state that I live in, as long as you're with somebody that's got a fishing license, and anybody can get one, you just go to your local, I don't know, Atwoods or Walmart even, local Walmart or anybody, and you can get a fishing license. They're super cheap, and then that way you can fish public land. If you have private ponds, stuff like that, again, check your local listings to find out, you know, the rules and everything. But try fishing. So I want to go through what are some good rods and reels, and how, you know, what's a good way to get started. And I just want to show you, Walmart actually has some really good prices on rod reel combos. The one that I recommend, and like I say, there's so many different kinds out there, really anything will work, but the one that, I don't know, I would recommend that I've always used for all four of my children and my niece. I even got a whole bunch of rods for my, when I was a den leader in Cub Scouts, and gave them to my scouts, and we all went fishing and everybody had a great time, is a good Zebco reel. The rod reel combos that I've seen, there's Shakespeare rods. Those are good rods. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Shakespeare rod with a Zebco reel works just fine. So I'll show you this up close. I'll walk up here and show it to you. So there is the Zebco reel. This is a simple push button reel is what this is called. This is your drag. I'll talk about that here in a minute. And then this is the button to release the lure, right? This would be an easy combo for anybody just getting started. The drag that's on it, we'll talk about the drag real quick. What that means is basically when a fish is pulling on this line, and usually I would say starting out with probably a 12-pound test, you know, since beginners, you know, they're not going to do real good with, you know, feeling the fish and knowing when they should let go, or maybe setting the drag or whatever. So you want a fairly sturdy pound test. You can lighten it up as you get more experienced. The drag is if a fish is pulling on it, obviously if they pull too hard, they're going to snap the line, right? The line's going to break in two. It's only plastic, okay? So you set your drag. What this does is this will let the reel, and I'm pulling it, it'll let it come out. So it'll let the line out once the pull gets strong enough to actually pull the line out, the reel will let it. And what this does is this will either tighten that up where it takes more force to pull the line out, or you can loosen it up to where it takes less force to pull that out. And that's just something that you're just gonna have to experiment with. There's no real setting, like as you can see, there's no, I mean, there was, when you showed it up close, there's no numbers on it or anything like that. It's not like there's a main setting that you can do. So you just kind of have to play by it. If you can feel it, if the fish is pulling really hard and no lines going out, you might want to turn that a couple of turns to the minus to where it starts kind of letting some line out while you're pulling them in, okay? What you do to cast this thing is you're gonna press the button in, okay? Then when you throw, it's kind of like throwing a ball. So you let go of the ball once you get where you're going, right? So if you're throwing a baseball, right, you're throwing like this and then you let go of it. Same thing, you'll take your thumb off of it. I don't know if you can see this, but you take your thumb off of it and it'll let the line out. The line will go down, okay? So you press in, you'll press in on it, okay? And then you let it go where you want it to go, okay? And then the line will always be loose until you start to crank, and you'll hear it click. I don't know if you heard that, but you hear it click, and then you can reel it back up, okay? And so I'm gonna reel this back in, and then that's pretty much it. That's how you do it. I know this is super basic, but hey, if you've never done it before, you don't know how, right? So that's basically how you cast a reel. Now I always take and reel it up just a little bit like this. I don't reel it all the way to the top, just because it can get tangled, it can get wrapped around itself. I usually let it fall down just a little bit. And then always when you're casting, okay? Casting, when you're doing that, you're gonna want to stop before you get where you're casting, okay? So before you get to the point that you're aiming for, you wanna stop before it, and it's because this lure is heavy. It's got inertia to it, so it's gonna keep on going in the direction that you're flinging it, okay? So if you stop it right here, you know, like right straight out in front of what you're looking for, you're always gonna cast. If you're casting from the right, it's always gonna go to the left. If you're casting from the left, it's always gonna go to the right of whatever you're shooting for if you stop the rod right at what you're shooting for. So you wanna stop a little bit short, and you'll get the hang of that when you do it, all right? Okay, now practicing. So a lot of the times, not everybody has a pond in their backyard or in their neighborhood or something like that. So they would like to be able to practice maybe their casting, all right? So here's what we do. Or at least this is a simple thing that I do. Get yourself a box, a bucket, just anything. I would suggest start with something large first. So like I've got this kind of container here, one of these latching boxes. I'm just gonna leave the lid off of it and throw it out here a ways. Put a box or a tub or something out where you can see it, see? And then what you can do is take your rod or your reel and put a practice plug on it. What do I mean by a practice plug? Let me grab it. If you can see it, a piece of wood, and I put a screw eye in the top of it. You can get these from the hardware store. They just screw in like a wood screw, and they got a little circle on the top. That's all I did. And then we kind of put some tape on it to give it some extra weight. Obviously a bigger dowel will probably be better because it'll be, you know, more weight, but this is all you need. And just tie this on like you would tie a lure. Just tie this on, and then that way you don't have to worry about hooks. You don't have to worry about your child getting hooked or anything like that while they're practicing. You can tie this on, they can go in the backyard, they can knock themselves out, and they won't get hurt, okay? So this is a great way of giving them a practice plug instead of something that has hooks on it.
How to tie a fishing knot. You're gonna go through whatever you're trying to tie on, then you're gonna spin it. So we're gonna spin this and twist it all up. Then you're gonna take the end and you're gonna go back through this little loop right here that we've created. So you can see that little loop right there from us twisting it. We're going to go through that loop, and then we just made a loop right here. We're going to go back through that loop and pull it tight. And you pull that down, slide that down, voila, snip off the excess. There is a solid fishing knot.
So once you tie that on, then have them try to, except I use a different kind of reel, and we'll go through that in another video, the different types of reels, but it's gonna be hard for me to do this. Woo, oh, I totally missed. But try to get it in the bucket, and this will teach them, or any beginner, you or anybody, it'll teach you how to cast. And you can try your best at what you're doing, and I would say, oh, so close. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that. So then as you get better with it, shrink it, go down to a bucket and take a bucket, because that's very small. Set a bucket out here. Come out here and maybe set yourself up kind of a little obstacle course. Maybe sit it like that. Maybe put it under a tree so you can practice throwing up under tree limbs that are hanging out over the water. Things like that. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video.